Hi everyone. So my name is Kate. I'm a doctoral student in the Department of Health, Kinesiology, and Recreation. And I wanted to start with a quote that I've used in my experience with groups that I think links well to this social domain of health. So C.S. Lewis is attributed to saying, "We read to know that we are not alone." And adapting that quote, then I can say, "We join groups to know that we are not alone." And I definitely think that that is a truth of human nature, to want to connect with someone, to want to be understood by someone else, and maybe share our experiences with others. So I wanted to start with just a general understanding of well-being that I've been attracted to. Dr. Martin Seligman outlined a theory of well-being that he ties to the word flourishing as opposed to well-being. But flourishing essentially comes down to 5 things, according to his theory: positive emotions, engagement, relationships, which is what I want to talk about, meaning, and accomplishments. And under relationships, he essentially outlines that those relationships need to be authentic, positive connections. And so leading that into some research in the aging population, which is another group that I'm interested in, or another population I'm interested in working with, there is a study called the Blue Zone research, and some of you may have heard about it before, but essentially what the Blue Zone research did is they looked to see where the most individuals were that lived to be 100 or older. And they found these 5 areas around the world that had more centenarians than any other area, and they essentially interviewed those individuals to find out why. Why were they living longer? Why were they experiencing successful aging? And part of what the research came up with was these 9 commonalities. So these 9 different things that these individuals experience. So first, there are others not related to social well-being, but the 3 that relate are family first, belonging, and a right tribe. So with family first, essentially what they found was that individuals that kept their family members around them longer, so having individuals, parents, grandparents live nearby home, can decrease mortality rates even among the children living in those homes. Having a committed life partner could increase up to 3 years of our life expectancy, and then investing in our children benefited our future and our longevity as well, which isn't surprising. Next is belonging to the right tribe. In Okinawa, Japan, individuals are born into what they call a moai, and it's essentially a group of 5 individuals that you live with through your whole life, that you are devoted to. And that commitment, in some way, is part of what they're attributing to their longevity. And then finally, in belonging, all but 5 of the individuals that they interviewed out of the 263 belonged to some sort of faith-based community. So not that they practiced a faith necessarily, but that they belonged to a community of faith, and the denomination did not matter, but it increased their life expectancy from about 4 to 14 years, which is pretty spectacular when you think about health. Following along with that, Waldinger and colleagues looked at the social dynamics related to why octogenarians experience daily happiness, perceived health, those sorts of things. And they found in their research that a broad social network improved well-being, that perception of support, so not just support, but perception of support, buffered adverse effects associated with stress, time spent with others increased daily happiness, and that marital satisfaction buffered negative health consequences. So not just marital status, but marital satisfaction was part of what they found. And for both of those studies, I've also attached a TED Talk that you can refer to. And finally, I just want to do a little bit diving deeper into the research that I'm particularly interested in. O'Mahony and colleagues looked at immigrant and refugee women that were experiencing postpartum depression, coping with postpartum depression. And the study revealed that the likelihood of postpartum depression was predicted by social isolation, a lack of friends or a close confidant or partner, lack of perceived support from primary social networks or primary social groups, and then a lack of a friend who had experienced something similar to them. So some resources, they list a lot of different resources, but a couple that stood out to me were that in these support groups, the women didn't necessarily find the support they needed, but it was because they felt like they needed to meet more often. So more than just once for an hour. Their healthcare relationships, they were more likely to seek help if they had a positive relationship with their primary care provider. And then, of course, their community, they needed support from family, friends, and just the community as a whole. And they found that those were salient factors in helping women cope with difficulties after childbirth. But for immigrant and refugee women, it is typical that they've lost some of their support. And so I think that this just shows how interconnected all of the domains are, with social being really a cog that can influence all of them. But it's definitely something that we can speak to in how we tie to the practical work that we do. So thank you very much.